Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
When choosing a dentist for our family, Tupelo Smiles was the answer for us. They greet us with warm smiles right when we walk in the door, and they make us feel so welcome. We love Tupelo Smile.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Well, good evening and welcome in to Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon here. We'll see if we can adjust that shot for the Room to Room Weather Center. See if we got a better one for you right there. That's a little bit nicer. And thank you so much for joining us here on this Tuesday evening on what has started off as a rainy and a kind of stormy day. Certainly things shaped up a lot more nicely to end it. Apparently, I'm also not going to spell things correctly here. Hold on. Can you tell I was up in the middle of the night? Let's get rid of that T. Let's fix that for you there. There you are. Cooler air on the way. We're not waiting much longer before it gets on in here, as we're definitely dealing with a couple of fronts that are pushing in that drier air as well. We'll make sure it's much, much cooler for you. Your Turkey Day, Thanksgiving forecast. We have that travel forecast here and around the region coming up in a couple minutes. Luckily, for most part, we're in good shape. And your shopping and football forecast for later this week and this upcoming weekend also are probably dry, but noticeably colder, the way I think we describe all of that. And yes, truly colder, not cooler weather on the way. 50 still at 7 p.m. this evening. What you don't notice, any precipitation chances there, as we should stay dry. We're going 56 at 10 p.m., 55 by 1 o'clock in the morning, low 50s by 4 a.m., and mid 40s on the way by the first part of tomorrow morning under some northwest winds. And that is bringing in that drier and cooler air as we have shoved all that moisture right on out of here. Outside in Amory now, our skies are mostly clear. Feels like temperature coming in 64 right now in Monroe County. Thank you, of course, so much for trusting us here on Mississippi Live Weather down there around the Golden Triangle as well. Batesville, we're looking at 59 degrees at this instant. Feels like 59. That's a bit cooler. That's that northwest wind sort of coming in, though the wind fairly calm at that spot there. We do expect it to pick up a bit more over the course of the next couple of hours here. And outside in Greenville at this instant, looks like that reporting station already taken the day off as we get closer to that holiday, but those skies mostly cleared there as well, as all the moisture that was so widespread last night is out of here. And the latest scans on Mississippi Live Weather Radar showing up with no precipitation. We did have, again, a number of reports of wind damage out there into Alabama over the course of last night, and a tornado touchdown down there in central Mississippi, rated EF0, 75 mile per hour winds. Of course, more on that here in a couple minutes. But one of the other big headlines, we have been fighting a drought, and this hopefully helping things out. Look at the rainfall totals from around the region today. As you can see, in some cases, not half bad rainfall totals, fairly widespread amounts, 2 inches or so. Some spots, maybe 3 inches in that stripe there, stretching from Greenville back up toward Grenada, and then more decent amounts down towards central Mississippi. Some of the heavier amounts also southern parts there of Pickens County, Alabama, but definitely helping things out. And it's nice to see that there. Speaking to the data today, Tupelo Regional Airport, we had 73 for the high. Not a record, but obviously fairly close to that with an official rainfall total of 1.38 inches. Breaking a record, though, a fairly old one down in Hattiesburg, dating back. Gabe, I'm going to pop your audio on it because I forgot your factoid a second ago there. Your audio is up. How old's that record there in the Hattiesburg area?
117 years old, tied it today. So not officially gone, but definitely kind of impressive.
117?
117.
Man.
What were you doing 117 years ago?
How many generations back is that? Yeah, I mean, so that tells you it was a warm one there in a lot of spots today. So I appreciate that fact, Gabe. We'll hear more from Gabe come up here in a couple of minutes. But those temperatures now have settled down a little bit more here, coming in the low 60s, and the cooler, much cooler air still well to the north and west of us. So kind of a secondary push. So we'll start moving that more into the area. It has started coming a little bit more breezy, wind gusts up there in that 10 to 15 to almost 20 mile per hour range as the cooler air eventually settles in. Here's a look at Mississippi Live Weather Radar. Still ongoing rain and storm chances out to the east. That blue box there was a tornado watch, but as you can see, that expiring at the top of the hour there. That's why that kind of pops off the map at that point. And as that kind of shoves its way toward the east, taking more active weather with it. Much wider shot here on the wide shot shows. We do have kind of wintry weather with a storm system up in the upper Midwest. This one stays up and away from us. It's actually that high pressure center right behind it there. That's more our story. This is kind of the center of the drier and cooler air, and this is what will eventually settle in over the next couple of days. So while we go a little bit cooler tomorrow, we're going to go a lot colder by your Thanksgiving holiday, and probably the chilliest air probably arriving as we head into especially early morning on your Friday, 20s. Yes, that is what we should, from time to time see. Haven't seen much recently. That is what is on the way as we look into the latter part of this week. But our futurecast in the near term showing the drier air still moving in, and that means rainfall, storms moving out. Still pretty active weather down there, South Alabama into Georgia into this evening, but our direction, where the weather's coming from, back to the north and west, there's nothing out that way moving our way. So we keep it dry and clear. That H continuing to settle in fairly quickly. And so as a result, again, the drier air, but no precipitation associated with that. And that'll help those temperatures to drop pretty effectively tonight back into, again, the 40s as we begin a more swift tumble beyond that. So highs tomorrow, probably only making it into the middle 50s. That's after starting off around 47. We're 48 by 9 a.m., 53 by noontime, and only 54 for tomorrow afternoon. A wind chill temperature. Maybe this is that fact I feel like I always spit out over and over again, but technically, because of the equation, it doesn't become valid until you're in the 40s. So no official wind chill at noon and 3 p.m. tomorrow. That said, we all know it'll feel colder than what that indicates there. So officially not going to come in with one, even if you open up the app there, but it still have an edge to it for sure as that cooler air continues to settle in into tomorrow night. Now coming up here in 60 seconds, we're going to be looking at those temperatures, those wind chills in particular, kind of how far those could end up dropping. One of the things we'll also look at, we're also breaking down your forecasts for Black Friday, for the Egg Bowl, for our Mississippi Live Game of the Week, which has yet to be named. That's a pretty fierce competition last I checked. I think the Tupelo-Oxford game, as well as the Biggersville game, Calhoun City, toward the top of that list. Voting continues till late this evening. Hopefully you'll continue to vote on that, and hopefully we'll see you back here in 60 seconds as Mississippi Live Weather continues from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this. This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lobhon.
And maybe it's because I'm a little bit of a weenie, but wind chill is always one of those things when they start dropping, I start paying close attention here. Thank you so much for joining us here in the Room to Room Weather Center as Mississippi Live Weather at 6 continues. Excuse me. One of the changes we see, that voice tends to go when we start to see that this change in the weather. That's kind of happened to me. So before I go too far, let's let the graphics take care of it. Mid-30s for wind chills tomorrow morning. Yeah, even through midday, still some spots with the 40s out there for wind chills. And then tomorrow night, we're looking at 30s eventually. So fairly substantial drop there in temperatures on the way. Eventually, once that fully settles into the region, but no precipitation. Part of the reason why is we are clear on Mississippi Live Weather Radar. Okay, I got to bring in Gabe before I completely lose my voice here. And Gabe, take it away. It's a beautiful evening out there, despite the fact that the rainfall's moved out. I guess maybe in partial because of that fact.
Well, we might need some rainfall, Matt, to saturate that throat just a bit. I know that crud it's tough.
It is. Okay, all you.
All right, sweet. Well, yeah, I mean, what we're tracking is that shift in the weather pattern. Overnight last night, we dealt with a lot of rainfall that has since pushed off there towards the east, but it's leaving us with a cooler forecast as we get into our Wednesday. Not exactly right now, as we saw a 63 just a moment ago, 64 in Kosciuszko. Dew points are going to be dropping into those overnight hours, so that's where the real difference will be felt for tomorrow morning. But also with those winds, as Matt mentioned, a wind chill pushing in with those cooler temperatures. 64 in Starkville this evening, going to be a busy day come Friday there in Starkville as Mississippi State hosting Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl. Yeah, Matt, you mentioned Black Friday. No, Black Friday is not a thing here in Mississippi. It's just Egg Bowl. Egg Bowl on Friday. That's what we need to be aware of. And of course, we will have that forecast coming up here in just a minute. But as we look at that forecast right now, mild evening tonight for anyone looking to make runs into downtown Starkville or into, hey, I always wanted to go to Cookout any day of the week. So if you're looking to do that, good forecast for it. Our Mississippi Live Weather Radar staying dry across the region, and a lot of those reports now shifting out there towards Birmingham, Alabama. I mentioned my family earlier on. They are actually basically in the heart of these reports right here, right there in the middle. So not getting any reports out of St. Clair County where they live. So thankfully, nothing of note so far. But as we look back here in North Mississippi, we've definitely been on the calmer side of things as we've gotten into that forecast more and more. Now, where we sit right now, again, a lot of those showers have pushed out there towards Auburn and Tuskegee and honestly into the Atlanta area, that metro area, moving in a few of those thunderstorms. But you might notice what's on radar. Not a tornado watch. And that has been the first time in a little bit that we've been not really concerned with any tornadic threat. Haven't got a ton of tornado reports, but as Matt was talking about a moment ago, EF0 down there in Hinds County, Mississippi, that tornado actually had a few trees and limbs knocked over, but not any structural damage except for a few gravestones that might have been impacted by those trees falling. So that's a very fortunate thing because that's some of those material things that we often just sacrifice in these storms. Well, lives are also precious and even more precious. And fortunately, no one was injured or killed during the storms yesterday evening. So that's always a great thing as we get into the morning, the following morning, that we have everyone's still intact. So very grateful that everyone's still looking good and honestly get to enjoy this great forecast heading into our Thanksgiving. Looking at our water vapor imagery, you can see a lot of that moisture still out there towards Talladega, Alexander City, and Montgomery, shifting out there towards the south and east. And what's back behind it? Well, none other than dry air. And that's what's going to dominate our weather pattern moving forward as this high pressure system shifts into our area, and it will linger into our Thanksgiving and our Egg Bowl forecast as well. Now, dinner planner this evening looking good to go if you're looking to make any late night dinner plans. Now, honestly, it's Thanksgiving break, so hey, go out, enjoy an evening here in downtown Tupelo or wherever you guys are at. 58 degrees by 8, 57 by 9, and 56 there by 10 o'clock, still with mostly clear conditions as the last of that moisture shifts out of the area. 7 p.m., there may be an occasional sprinkle, but honestly, this is a bit overdone on our short-range models. Those little bit of showers and a little bit of moisture we do have pushing a little bit more towards the east, and we'll be left with clear skies once again into those overnight hours and making way for a cooler start by the time we get towards our Wednesday morning. Now that is as a result of this ridging pattern moving overhead, and that's where that high pressure dominated forecast moves in as well. Matt was tracking this a moment ago, but you can basically see that front pushing a lot of these showers out there towards the Atlantic coast, and what we're left with is this high pressure center currently in Kansas, but whenever we're on the east side of that high pressure, that's where we get this clockwise motion, bringing in those northerly winds and some of that Canadian air, which is of course colder and much drier. So that's in place for the start of our Wednesday. No rain chances in that forecast, and we'll stay on the drier side for the midweek portion of our work week. I guess some of us still will be working by Wednesday, but hey, we're almost to Thanksgiving, guys. Low temperatures for your Wednesday morning, going to be cooler the further north and west you go. 41 Senatobia and Holly Springs, 42 in Bruce, 46 in Amory. And the further south and east we go, we're still getting upper 40s and a few low 50s as well, as that front trending, or it tends to go a little bit slower on those temperature changes as we get further into that eastern format, just a result of that west to east motion of that cold front. Now, wind chill as well. Matt mentioned this a moment ago. We'll definitely be feeling it far further north and west as a result of those northwesterly winds cycling into the area and giving us those cooler and drier conditions. So upper 30s, feeling like that out the door at 6 a.m. Unfortunately, that is the possibility, so make sure to bundle up and layer up if you are around Senatobia or anywhere in DeSoto, Tate, or Tunica County. School day forecast. Why am I showing this? I did this yesterday too. No, No school tomorrow. We're not going to be tracking that. No, we're in Thanksgiving break, so enjoy it. It's going to be a good one for sure. But what that did showcase is very little change in those temperatures. We'll show that here in just a moment. Our Wednesday morning staying on the drier side, so with those breezy conditions out of the northwest, keeping that dry and clear forecast around for our Wednesday morning. Now that forecast does stick around into those lunch plans, so if you're looking to do anything on Wednesday to enjoy break, maybe a pre-Thanksgiving picnic, this is a good day to go out and do so around that noontime hour on Wednesday. I mean, we are seeing plenty of sunshine. We're enjoying a little bit of a breeze. We're enjoying just a great forecast that we'll see for our Wednesday. So getting into the afternoon, those clear and dry conditions remain in place, and into those evening hours for any midweek services that we may have, looking good to go. Winds calming down just a bit. So during the day, 10 to 15 miles an hour. Back on the back end of the day, probably about 5 to 10. So that subtle change in the wind speed. There we go. High temperatures for Wednesday are normal. 61 degrees, record 82 degrees. Nowhere even close to our record, but we're not even close to our average. We're sitting below average for our high temperatures on your Wednesday afternoon. 54 in Tupelo, 51 Holly Springs, 56 Greenwood, and 58 around Kosciuszko. As we keep that forecast moving into your Wednesday night, staying on the drier side once again, and that's really how it'll be heading into our Thanksgiving forecast as well. So Wednesday night, not anything to worry about in our skies. Winds still coming out of the northwest, keeping those dry conditions around. But as we get into the start of our Thursday, I mean, you can see that high pressure inching closer and closer, going to be right overhead here in North Mississippi, getting into that Thanksgiving forecast. So any plans you may have, if you start cooking early on in the morning, open up a window with those cool temperatures, should be bringing in some cool conditions as well. If you like the cold weather, if you don't like the cold weather, heat definitely needs to be turned on before we get into our Wednesday forecast, and especially by the time we get into Thanksgiving. We keep that forecast moving. Breezy conditions still coming out of the north as we are in this ridging pattern. So by noontime, if you're eating a Thanksgiving lunch, going to be good to go, or even a Thanksgiving dinner, still seeing those clear conditions remain in place with those northerly winds keeping our skies clear with plenty of sunshine. And as we wrap up our Thursday and enter into those food comas, going to be good to go as well as we stay on those the drier side of things, as well as the cooler side of things as we get into the start of our Egg Bowl forecast. High temperatures for Thursday, low to mid 50s across the region, with 50 in Boonville, 49 Red Bay, 53 in Amory, and 55 in Kosciuszko. Out in the Delta, 52 Cleveland, 55 Greenville, and same thing around Belzona and Greenwood. Of course, our Thanksgiving forecast looking good to go, and tracking that Thursday forecast, mostly sunny skies, 52 degrees for highs, and right around freezing as we get that day started. Much colder temperatures moving in, but drier conditions paired with that, and plenty of sunshine. So happy Turkey Day, going to be a good one, and definitely thankful for this forecast, keeping us dry all throughout the day. Now, airport delays, if you're looking to get out and about and, of course, enjoy what is going to be a good looking forecast, you can kind of see, and I'm going to drag in, actually, bear with me behind the scenes. There we go. This is our regional outlook, and looking good to go no matter where you are. But as we bring in that national outlook, and it'll need to populate here for just a moment, so bear with me behind the scenes as some of these totals get put in. I mean, of course, we're tracking across the entire United States, so it does take a second for those to populate, and there you're getting a good look. Some moderate delays around the Dallas-Fort Worth airport, but up north, I would say expect some travel delays right there towards Michigan, Minnesota, and let's see, that's up around the Wisconsin area. Yeah, just with that snow moving into the forecast, would expect some delays to take place, but they're prepped and ready for it. If this were to happen down here, you're looking at some major delays. But fortunately, that's not the case. And even with that rainfall, airport's still flowing smoothly as a lot of that rainfall pushes out there towards the East Coast. Still looking good to go. And of course, our Wednesday travel forecast, travel impact's going to be high right around the Great Lakes, like we mentioned, expecting that with that snowfall, but some minor impacts right around the East Coast as we do deal with those showers working their way through the area. Not going to be high in any realm of, or any sort of fashion, but it is going to be something that we need to take note of, maybe drive a little bit slower to compensate for those slick roadways. Now, as we take a look, and I'm going to drag it in here real quick, our Egg Bowl forecast happening on our Friday. I have to make sure it's the right one here real quick. Happening on our Friday, going to be Friday morning, so it is going to be a little bit of a cool forecast for sure, and that was not the right one. Thank goodness it is not going to be 36 degrees. Let me clear that out. Sorry for all the transitions behind me. Oh joy, are we not going to go to it? Got to make sure it's on the right day. There we go. Okay, sweet. All right, there we go. So Ole Miss for taking on Mississippi State, and of course that kickoff going to be at 11 a.m. 44 degrees first play, 47 by halftime, and same thing towards that final snap. Going to be a cold one for sure all game long. Hey, definitely have a couple of layers. I mean, we're prepping for sweatshirts in the Maynard household as we head out to the game. Those northerly breezes still coming in about 5 miles an hour, so that's going to make it feel a little bit colder as well. So make sure to prepare. And of course, if you're like me and a Mississippi State fan, ringing that cowbell definitely helps get the adrenaline going, might help you stay warm. So all the more reason to be a State fan. Right, Annalise? I'm just kidding. But as we look at that forecast for our weekend, you can definitely, or weekend, what am I saying?
You don't need to ring that bell so loud there. Come on.
Listen, it's the only thing that I have right now is the hope before the game. After the game, it's going to be completely just stomped on.
What? You think it might be difficult to win this one?
Yeah. No, it's going to be, listen, I think Mississippi State, you got my arms crossed. You got the serious Gabe coming out.
I noticed.
It's going to be a battle, I think, through the first 3 quarters. But, and all my Mississippi State fans back me up in the comments.
Hold on, I'm going to say this. Hold on. If it gets to like the end of the third quarter and this is close, that's a real interesting. You're telling me you wouldn't take close through 3 quarters.
We've dealt with close through 3 quarters all season, and every single time it's been heartbreak.
Well, close through 3 quarters. Listen, as a Kansas fan, we've been through this over and over again. Close through 3 quarters is a lot better than blown out in the first.
I guess, but at least you know what to expect at the end of the first. Like by the end of the third, if it's still close, you have hope. And then but then it always ends in tragedy at the end of the game.
It does until it doesn't.
Well, listen, I talked at 5 o'clock. We're going to be a winner in the Maynard household either way, because if we're not happy that our team lost, we're happy for the other Maynard that they had the win. So
that's such a lie. She will not be happy for you if you win.
Oh, not one bit. But I will be happy for her. I will be happy for her because, of course, happy wife, happy life, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to be a good one for sure.
Here's the real question. Layering up, are all layers for your outfit going to be maroon, or is there going to be some powder blue under there at a different layer so you can blend in if something happens that doesn't go your way?
If it was at Ole Miss, potentially. But since it's at State, I feel like I'll get away, scot-free, not going to have a blemish on me. So maybe a couple tears, but I mean, the tears have dried up. Do what?
Was that a Scott Field joke?
Scott Field? Who's Scott Field?
Hold on, isn't it Davis Way Stadium Scott Field? Hold on.
It is Scott Field. You're right. Oh my word, I'm a fake fan. Matt. You're a real Bulldog. You just showed your true colors.
I'm a Jayhawk. I just pay a little bit of attention to some of those things occasionally.
Well, either way, it's going to be a good forecast for the game because it's dry, but it's just going to be a cold one. And I joked at the beginning that Friday's not Black Friday, it's Egg Bowl forecast, but it is still Black Friday. And for anyone looking to do some overnight shopping, if they're still waiting out at the stores, which honestly with online shopping, I guess for the thrill of the ride, but don't really understand waiting out in that cold. But if you do, 28 degrees for the morning start, that's rough.
It's going to be chilly. Yeah.
To say the least. Not even factoring in wind chill, too. I mean, look at that forecast, 28 degrees, and I mean, hey, I know you're the wind chill fanatic right here. So we're probably talking mid to maybe even low 20s in some spots if those breezy conditions do stick around. Partly cloudy skies shows that moisture building in and then rain chances returning by the weekend. So luckily, our holiday stretch looking phenomenal when it comes to what's happening in the sky. Just going to be having some cold temperatures in the process. But guys, it's November. It needs to feel this way. So at least we're finally getting in some cooler conditions for sure. I see some folks in the chat. Pat asked, "Who's Matt going to pick?" Matt, do you want to say your piece about this?
Okay.
Oh, the suspenders are out. Okay, serious.
No, I got the jackets in as we're ready for winter weather. I was trying it on, and you called me back up, and I wasn't ready to come on. Who's going to win the game? I think we know who's going to win the game, but funny things happen from time to time. I mean, listen, if this were a forecast, it's an interesting one, but it's pretty clear. It's probably going to go Ole Miss's way, but we'll see. It's not. I'm not. I am cheering for a great game. You might want to know which way this is going to go at the end of the first quarter. I want to know the way it's going to go with like 3 minutes left in the game. So I'm cheering for this to be a good one. I think both sides obviously have a lot to play for. And as what sometimes, or a lot of times, is the underdog team with my team, sometimes it's more pleasant to play the spoiler. So we will see how that goes for sure. But I think certainly the predictor in me says Ole Miss makes more sense, but we'll see.
See, yeah, that's the obvious answer, but Mississippi State at home does crazy things. Get your hopes up through three.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. If they are still in it after 3 quarters. Anyway, we can talk more about that here in a minute. We got to get to the commercial break here, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry. Once you get football, things change. Okay. Yeah, we're getting into those commercials here real quick. We're going to be talking about those rain chances moving into the weekend, but we're also talking those dry conditions. We'll, of course, break that down for your Thanksgiving holiday coming up here in the next 60.
By the time you see the symptoms of lung cancer, it could be too late. Now there's a new scan that can detect lung cancer early. If you smoked, get scanned.
Can I ask a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, we have a dog, but she's little.
Do you have any unlocked guns around the house?
We do have a gun, but it's stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access. Appreciate you asking.
Yeah, of course.
You may see a teen struggling to find his way. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we see a teen gaining the confidence and skills to land his first job. Kids today need people to see their potential and help them achieve it. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we do whatever it takes to help kids succeed. Because when we see young people, we see limitless possibilities. Do you? Join us, Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures.
So a nice sunset from a few days back there. Appreciate this shot here using the Mississippi Live weather app coming in. What I'm trying to get pulled up here for you, if I can, is where we're at as far as our Mississippi Live Game of the Week voting is concerned here. And then we're going to get back to everything else here for a moment. So see if that pulls up like it's supposed to. Come on, play the game. Facebook sometimes doesn't behave when you try to pull up the screen. And there we are on our voting. Right now, it's 25% for Oxford versus Tupelo and 28% for Calhoun City versus Biggersville. This will be decided later on tonight. If I just I have to sometimes click it to be able to get the numbers there. So 26-24, the number of votes for Calhoun City versus Biggersville, and for Oxford versus Tupelo, were 24-17. So less than 200 votes separating the top 2 vote getters. But at this point, again, Kosciuszko and Louisville not that far behind. It could take a little bit of a catch up there. But if we bring Gabe back in here for a moment, things are definitely lining up for what will be a cold game of the week. I think that's the thing that there's absolutely no question about, right?
For sure, layers upon layers upon layers. But we're talking about a good game in the Egg Bowl. They can't go too long because then that'll prevent us going to our game of the week because, of course, we got to wrap up one before we get to the other. Honestly, though, with how big the Egg Bowl is, wouldn't be surprised if they pushed those games back on Friday night if that was that many overtimes. But I'm, of course, speaking
No.
What?
We all know that's not going to happen.
No, hey, there's not going to be that many overtimes. I'm speaking in the high extremes. So, but no, it's going to be a good game of the week for sure. But of course, a cold forecast, and that's of course being driven by that high pressure system being driven into this area, and that ridging pattern also pushing in as well. So your Tuesday, cold air begins to move into the central United States. So that's why we haven't really felt any of that cold air blast just yet. But watch how we move into Wednesday, how this starts to just dip further and further. And North Mississippi already getting a good bit of that colder weather by Wednesday night into your Thursday. You can see right there on our graph on the side that 32 degrees. That's going to be those light blues on the leading edge right there. So at freezing, moving into Wednesday night and Thursday morning, a realistic possibility, but that's moving into the Midwest and up the East Coast. This as that ridging pattern remains right over the top of us, and that continues into Thursday as well. But just basically this northwest wind bringing in that Canadian air, which is going to make it feel very cold come Thursday night into your Friday morning. So holiday plans going to be cold, but layering up will help prevent it from being too cold for you. And surface analysis highlighting what we're we're experiencing up in the sky. And a lot of that is being driven by this low pressure center up around the Great Lakes, giving plenty of snowfall up there around the Wisconsin, Chicago, and Detroit area. But that frontal boundary already up there along the East Coast by your Wednesday. So as we push that further into the forecast, you can see that low giving plenty of rainfall, plenty of snowfall up there in the Northeast area. But right here in the central United States, that ridging pattern remaining right over the top of us, and that northwesterly wind giving us some of those cooler conditions. So grateful for a dry forecast, but it does come at a cost, unfortunately, and that's going to be those cold temperatures as we get into our Thursday. So travel impacts primarily going to be up there towards the north. If you're looking to get on the roadways or in the sky, Chicago, Buffalo, Montreal, not looking ideal. And of course, we do have some, I think there's NFL games on Thursday. I'm trying to remember where they're being played at. I don't believe Buffalo's playing Thursday, so I think we're good on that front. Maybe some high snow event out there over in the western New York area right off the Great Lakes. But as we look ahead towards Friday, you can see some of that does build as that next system gradually moves in there for Friday with moderate impacts, maybe some slick roadways, potentially snowy roadways, but not here in North Mississippi. No, our Thursday and our Friday both looking good to go. So holidays, going to be a good one for sure, both Thursday and Friday. Honestly, the timing just panning out perfectly for anything we need to get done for our Thanksgiving. So Matt, we're grateful. Of course, we never want to deal with extreme weather like what we had last night, but in regards to timing for Thanksgiving week, I think this is the best case scenario that we could get.
Absolutely. I was coming in to give you that NFL schedule there on Thursday night. Of course, you always have Cowboys and Lions every year. And
is it in Detroit?
Always. Detroit hosts every year, and the Cowboys host every year since the dawn of time.
That's going to be tough.
But it's an indoor game.
Oh yeah, that's right. Ford Field. I forget that it's a closed stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Bengals at Ravens in Baltimore there, so that should be a little cool as well.
Yeah, cool for sure. Maybe dealing with some of those scattered showers on the back end of that front, but I appreciate you coming in and telling me that. I feel like a fake fan now.
Trying to help out when I can, earn my paycheck.
We're just talking ball now, Matt. That's the fun part about Mississippi Live Weather. We can talk ball, we can talk weather, we can talk whatever. And of course, we will have our Will Kohlmeyer coming in this Friday to talk to us more about those high school games, maybe even giving a breakdown of the Egg Bowl in advance. So excited for him to join us with that. He's the real ball knower when it comes to what's happening with football. 8 p.m., 58 degrees, 56 by 10 and 55 by midnight. Winds still coming out of the west at about 5 miles an hour, but heading into tomorrow, hope you have that hair up because it's going to be a breezy day all the way around as those winds push more out of the north and bring in some cooler air in the process. So it's going to be a good looking forecast for sure, and definitely have those layers ready because if you've been waiting to use it for about a week and a half now, things are finally going to feel like fall moving forward. So excited about that, excited for the Egg Bowl, excited about Thanksgiving, so much to be thankful for, and excited to talk to you guys more about what we're thankful for, and that is this forecast moving forward. We'll have latest details coming up tonight at 10. So make sure to join us at 10 for that next broadcast, and 6:37 and 7:30. We do have our morning shows with meteorologist Maggie McCauley. That is during those weekday mornings. So she will have updates heading into the Thanksgiving holiday. And of course, we'll keep you guys updated headed through Thanksgiving and into your Egg Bowl forecast as well. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will see you back here at 10 o'clock. Until then, have a terrific Tuesday.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.